Hi all, Robert Stoll, Stoll Review here with, yes, a rare video. Yes, I know I haven't been uploading as often as I should, and, well, there are many reasons for that. Mostly mental, as I take issue with the format that I feel that I'm logged into, but that's another video entirely. I will announce now, however, that I do have a podcast coming up tomorrow with the likes of Samantha Luna and Frozen Binary Studio as returning guests, and that we're going to be like deconstructing news stories, watching a few videos and laughing about them, and hey, maybe even coming up with this very topic itself. I just wanted to get my own thoughts out of the way so that, I could, prove I'm still existing, and also it really did intrigue me. And, and what intrigued me specifically? Well, for those who don't know, in a recent episode of the Co-Optional podcast, Total Biscuit had a guest named Laura Kay on. Now, I don't know anything about this woman. I don't know if she's done anything notable or said anything notable, either for the better or for worse. All I know is that apparently she is trans, and by the nature of YouTube comments, some people left disdainful comments on it, like, her voice sounds weird, and things like that, and really just pissed Total Biscuit, the other guests, and most importantly, Laura Kay, right the fuck off. And following this, Total Biscuit's wife went onto Twitter to go rattle on a bit about it. Total Biscuit himself released a bit of an audio log about it, and this is largely talking about what he said in that audio log. And suffice to say, yes, it kind of does conflict me a little bit. And let me, explain why. Now, the first thing I'd like to do is cover the positives that I did agree with him about. And primarily, number one, most importantly, he has more than the need. He has the obligation, so to say, I'm sorry about that pause, to protect his guests and to treat them right. And so if something should happen like this, I don't really blame him, because as someone who makes podcasts myself, as someone who really does count on other individuals to make my content for me, essentially, I do value the work of my contributors and would not want to see a single thing happen to them because of my because of my material, because for the very fact of appearing on, especially apparently good guests like her who really did contribute a lot. You want to keep those guests happy, and thus I'm not really saying he's wrong for making the video or for going off on people for being not necessarily empathetic towards her. I do also think he makes some insightful comments about why this exists. In essence, that the people who apparently are for social justice, who go around doxing people, have really just ruined the pot for those of us who are, very much for trans rights, are for gay rights, are, for real social justice, and have connected this idea that somehow these negative behaviors over here mean you support these ideas over here. Not everyone who supports social justice is a fucking god. Oh, what's going on with my camera? There we are. Not everyone who supports social justice is a god. Not every one who supports social justice is a fucking hypocrite and sinner either. That being said, there is some things that I disagreed with him in the video. Some really, really small stuff. For example, he conflates being gay with being trans, and I don't really see the connection there. And in terms of social justice idiots connecting the idea of gender to both, well, okay, fine. But having talked with people who are trans before, having read several blogs by people who are trans, by just the very nature of understanding why people would want to get treatment for being trans, it's absolutely a condition that when people say it sucks, when people put a stigma behind it, it isn't saying that these people are stupid. It isn't saying that these people are mental. Of course, some people will attach that, but I think a good amount of sensible people will still use those words in conjunction with it, because like any rare skin condition, like any cancer, like any illness on earth, it's fucking miserable to have it. And for that reason alone, it's worth treating. And I think even Total Biscuit himself would accept that logic. There are some other small things. For example, he brought up wrestling and the sort of things that went on in the 90s to character actors in the wrestling ring, such as holding up signs that said such and such is a faggot, shouting gay, shouting slut, excuse me, and that kind of thing. And he kind of says that these were uncalled for, that these were actually transphobic, when I'm pretty sure there was a good amount of people just sort of going with it or using them in an equal opportunity way, where the next person comes on and they are called a weakling. In general, that's how these sort of things went. Wrestler number one calls wrestler number two a slut, and next thing you know, they're having a good old beat down and everyone's having a fucking good time. These things aren't being accepted. In fact, when people shout slut, when people shouted gay, when people called someone a faggot in the ring, it was meant to be an insult. It was meant, it was meant to be derogatory, and it was meant to inspire motivation to beat their asses. And that is perfectly okay. Just like in Pillars of Eternia, there's a very natural explanation for why everyone is out to get you, and everyone's an asshole to each other, because everyone's an asshole. That's just basic logic. And and again, I don't hold Total Biscuit I don't hold Total Biscuit's view against him, but I would disagree. No, my main point of contention against Total Biscuit is that he can control his audience, and in fact, that he feels so strongly about this that he'd alienate his audience just for it. I can understand taking care of guests. What I cannot necessarily understand is feeling the onus for merely having fans who may disagree with your assessment of reality. That isn't to say these idiots aren't wrong or unempathetic or even asocial douchebags, but it is to say that them using certain tactics and you using those same tactics against them is a bit like one moralist telling another moralist that they're wrong before doing the exact fucking same thing. It's not an approach I would have taken at all, but again, Total Biscuit's a person. And more so, he's an individual. He has individual opinions which he's not very scared of saying, and that's one reason why I actually respect him. So, yes, I can disagree with him, but, his heart was in the right place, I think, this time. That being said, I hope that, people know that they need some social tact when they go onto YouTube. Yes, in general, if you want to hang out with people who, can take an insult, great. Those are much more enjoyable people to personalize with. And I totally get that. I do that myself. And I absolutely see the use of private forums in that case. But what I don't see is, being outside that group and doing the same and thinking the same social rules apply. No, if you go on YouTube, no, you have empathy. Be a good, decent human being, or else be shat upon by individuals who will agree with you vehemently. And really, at the end of the day, this really is all this is someone said something offensive, another person who thought it was offensive uploaded a audio commentary saying that it was offensive and that that person's a faggot for saying that, and at the end of the day, well, life is going to go on. Let's just hope that we can all learn a lesson of empathy on places where you don't necessarily know how people are going to take something. This has been Robert Stoll of Stoll Review, and I hope to see you all tomorrow.